approach still is very little for a company trying to, you know, create and grow brand.
So what's the give us something you spent money on, you thought it was going to be great success, and it ended up being not as successful as you hoped it
those
would?
trade shows, you know, especially the first ones you choose, you know, you just do the best you can at talking to as many people as you can about it, try to figure out is this the right audience. But we introduced a new product in I don't know, about 3 or 4 years into me being there anyway, and we really thought that call centers were going to be our audience. So we went to this huge show in Vegas and spent a lot of money going out there, setting up a booth, and it turned out not to be our audience at all. So you just felt like that was a big waste. So there are going to be those. You just don't know when.
Do you think in today's climate they're still a necessary evil? Because I know I've spent over the years tons of money on these trade shows too, and it's very hard to measure.
It is. It is. And we, yeah, I mean, we were really diligent about collecting leads, and we went through a process with sales that, you know, they had to capture, you know, a certain amount of information from everybody. You know, I think certain ones in your industry, what we ended up with at the end, by the time we were at HP, we were now focused in about 8 different industries, including one of those was the government, so not necessarily industry, but what we ended up doing is picking 1 or 2 of the shows in those big shows in those industries that we thought we really wanted to focus on. And the rest of the time we did webinars. We did lots of webinars. We did smaller, you know, more 100-person type at a hotel ballroom, very focused audience. Tried to, which, you know, luckily there are a lot more of those type of things that have popped up. So I know that, you know, that's the one thing every marketeer, I think it's a, kind of a necessary evil. And but what we did starting out, Randall, when we were bare, I mean, we were not known. We weren't anywhere on the radar. The competitors out there, we weren't in their contracts with employees that left that said you can't go work for these people. I mean, they didn't know us. So what we decided to do at those trade shows, as I mentioned before, is go buy a big 20 by 20 was the biggest space that we bought. But that, you know, for our size and everything was pretty big. And have a really fantastic looking booth we spent some money on. And if we thought if we're going to be there, then we're going to be there. And we're going to make it such that they will notice us. And and we did a lot of guerrilla marketing things. I used to go and we used to create postcards. That was the other thing. We had the advantage of using our own software, so we could create very personalized direct marketing pieces. And Williams McBride, over the years, as they got better and better with it, they just got more creative and created. I was thinking about this, Kim, the other day. One year, I think this was the best. They created, every year when Christmas or the holidays would roll around, it was, okay, what can we do that really is going to wow them? So they created an ornament that, and you'll have to explain, you remember the ornament that folded up, and when you opened it, it fell down, and their name, the person's name, was wrapped around.
Yeah, the name was in it, and we also kept in mind that multiple people from the same company would be receiving this direct mail piece. So we designed the ornament so that if someone in the booth next to them got the same card, the ornament was different. It's all about personalization. I mean, that's what Extreme is so big on, is the fact that it's relevant. All the messaging is very relevant. So anytime we did any direct mail piece, it was highly personalized, whether we were using the name or information that we had on it, or whether the design for unique.
Well, exactly. And then we did other whether they were holiday cards or other pieces that if they were going to, like on the holiday cards, if they were going to partners, they got a totally different message greeting from us than a customer would. The analyst got a different one. Depending, we did one year that was, there was one year the gas prices, this would be a good idea for this year, I guess, too. Gas prices had just skyrocketed. And so Williams McBride found a database somewhere on the website.
We pulled data from the website
Yeah.
that would,
Based on their location, their
I guess the
geography.
concept of the card was whether they're going to visit family, whether
Yeah.
it's the train, the plane, or by car, and we were able to pull information from the internet that told them where in their hometown was the best priced gasoline. It was part of the marketing message.
Yeah.
So that was kind of neat.
That was a very good one.
Yeah.
But, and of course, you know, there's software and capabilities, lots of free stuff that you can do on your own today. I'm sure you already are to some extent. But that personalization, and another word we used a lot in exchange for personalization was relevancy. So many times people think of personalization as, you know, Kim or Scott, you know, or Randall, using just somebody's name. But a relevant message is one in which, you know, on Kim's statement, for example, we have data on her. We know that she buys a lot of candle wax, for example, to make her candles. So maybe she shops at Michael's a lot. So on her statement, she might get a coupon. In fact, American Express actually did this with our software. They had coupons on the back page of their statement that were different for every customer. And it was based on where they, you know, made most of their purchases or where they live.
So were those new revenue opportunities for those companies? Were those revenue streams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There was one of the three primary industries we focused on initially and then all the way through were these print service bureaus. And these were the companies that corporations outsource their printing, you know, when they're sending out millions of bills or documents. But also these particular bureaus, they developed those document applications as well. So there were a whole bunch of small guys out there, and they were figuring out how to stay in business. A lot of them were on the verge of going out of business. And we had some of those early customers, Chris, like a W.A. Wild, and probably Layson, even they were bigger, but that they literally tripled or more their business using our software because they could do so many more things for their customers with it. They could also, they got rid of so much expense. We had one, this first one I was talking about, Layson. They replaced initially like 18 different systems they had. Now this didn't happen all at once, it happened over time. But eventually 18 different systems to use our software. Because each of those systems created something very unique for each customer and each document for that customer and so forth. So we saved them lots of money, but then they were able to get more revenue because of what they could produce with it. So,
I don't want to hog somebody else's
Yes,
question.
sir.
I got two questions.
Okay.
One, did you or Steve Whitman tackle the guy that stole the leads at that show? Whose job was it?
Actually, it was another guy, another sales guy. He did. He caught him and grabbed him, brought him back to the booth, and we, you know, of course, we went crazy. We went over to their booth, talked to the marketing manager. She was, you know, defending
She put him
him.
up to it.
Oh, she did. We demanded he be fired and all this. It didn't matter.
The second question is, you know, now that HP's bought it, you know, obviously it's a 300 and some thousand person company versus, you know, it's 100 times, is that right? 1,000 times bigger.
Yeah.
Right? 1,000 times bigger
Lots
company.
bigger.
Who carries the vision for that product now that it's been acquired and it's at HP? Davis and Dan aren't there anymore.
No. Dan stayed on for about a year. That's a good question. There's, of all of us that were there, the early managers, there's only one left now, and he came in about 2004 or so, and he's kind of the one who's kind of doing that. But the shame of it is that we really got divided, you know, and any big company that's going to acquire a small software company is probably going to do that. But it's definitely different. It's not the same type of focus and the same targets and customers that it was. Put it that way. Chris, do you have anything to add? Your smile.
I'm not
there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how did your technical training help or hurt you in your transition into a marketing role?
Oh, gosh. Well, it was key for me. I mean, it was hugely helpful because these guys, Davis and Dan and Chris, I mean, these, at least to me, I think they are, they're geniuses. I mean, so to sit down and obviously I had to understand the product before I could write messages and work with the Williams McBrides and my PR firms and help everybody to understand what we were doing. So understanding and that fundamental base was absolutely key. And even though, you know, what I learned back in 80 to 84 and did at GE Lighting, those first 7 years was very different than the concepts they were using. Just understanding in general how technology works and, you know, just how to program. I mean, I was a programmer, so I understood all this, but very big. Yeah, I would say to anyone, if you have that basic technical understanding, this day and time, you don't have to be a programmer. You can do lots of different things, and that's going to be a big advantage for you.
Any more questions? Let's give Kelley a round of
Thank
applause.
you.